In today's video we see different motorcycle clubs that have different rules and see their brotherhood as one of the most important priorities in life. For this club and brotherhood they commit terrible crimes. Let's investigate the horrific court cases. Don't forget to subscribe and like the video to not miss any content. In first case, on court day, Adam Lee Hall was given 3 life sentences in a Berkshire County court for committing a triple murder in 2011. Superior Court Judge Jeffrey Kinder, who handed down the sentence, remarked that the case displayed an extreme level of cruelty and a lack of respect for human life that was unlike anything he had ever seen before. To show how cruel the Hells Angels member was, the judge Kinder said the following. Over the course of years, David Glasser was stalked, intimidated, beaten, framed, abducted, murdered and mutilated. Kinder said at Hall's sentencing, his friends Edward Frampton and Robert Chadwell were shot, stabbed, dismembered, simply because they had the misfortune of being there when Mr. Glasser got abducted. Kinder added 2 more sentences on top of the life sentences, one for 12 to 15 years for armed robbery and another for 8 to 10 years for kidnapping. According to a report from the state police, Adam Lee Hall, who is believed to be the sergeant at arms for the Berkshire County chapter of Hells Angels, got into a disagreement about a car in 2009. This argument led to a chain of criminal activities, which ultimately resulted in the murder of 3 men. A life sentence is mandatory for a first-degree murder conviction, and it means there's no chance of parole here. After 3 weeks of testimony and about 17 hours of deliberation, a jury in Hampton Superior Court found Hall guilty of 3 murders and 12 other crimes. Glasser's roommate Edward Frampton and their friend Robert Chadwell, all from Pittsfield, went missing in August 2011.
The healing process can begin. It can begin now. I can go to sleep and sleep peacefully.
So Hall was an important member of the local Hells Angels group, along with David Shelley, who was 46 and from North Adams, and Chaos, who was 32. They kidnapped 3 people from Frampton's home in Pittsfield. They shot the victims. Nearly 2 weeks later, the victim's body was discovered nearby. The report claims that Hall, trying to stay out of jail in the Glasser case, met with the FBI in September 2010. He proposed to assist federal agents by secretly recording conversations and giving them information about drug dealing, gun selling, and other crimes committed by several East Coast chapters of the Hells Angels. During the sentencing, Hall remained expressionless. The district attorney David Caples described Hall's actions against the 3 helpless men as vile, wicked, and brutal. Defense lawyer Alan Black argued that consecutive sentences were unnecessary because the mandatory punishment for first-degree murder is life imprisonment without a chance of parole. Black mentioned that Hall has always been polite to him and his team. He also noted that Hall have testified if the 3 victims were tried individually. According to Black, Hall has a conviction from 1997 for assault and battery with a dangerous weapon. But aside from that, his records only includes motor vehicle violations. What do you think about this case? Did he get what he deserved? Write your thoughts down below. Let's go on with the next case. There was a whole story of criminal activities. Don't forget to subscribe and like the video to support the channel to create more content for you. Merle Hefferman from Fresno, California was famous for organizing charity events for children. However, prosecutors now believe he was secretly using a funeral home nicknamed the Pizza Oven to cremate victims. After a 10-year investigation into organized crime, Hefferman was found guilty of using the crematory to get rid of a member's body. He was sentenced to 4 years in prison at his court hearing. The search resulted in the arrest of more California Hells Angels members. Raymond Fox, one of them, committed a rape as payback against a member by assaulting his wife. Some members also cursed the victim into getting a tattoo. Christopher Ranieri got convicted for being involved in murdering a member who had made threats against others. Russell Lilas received a sentence of over 60 months in jail for using his fist to discipline members and make them stronger.
These individuals use violence, fear, and criminal behavior for their own personal gain. Organized criminal activity was designed to instill fear in the parts of Santa Rosa that are around these motorcycle gangs.
In 2014, during Bike Week, things got intense between Sonoma member Joel Duffboy Silver and some East Coast members. Silver made threats against a friend of Salim chapter president Christopher Ranieri. Ranieri was angry because of that and complained to his buddies in California. They decided Silver had to go, so they tricked him into coming to Fresno Clubhouse and shot him in the back of the head. Ranieri took a flight to Fresno to join a party celebrating an event, while Hefferman 54 got the job of getting rid of Silver's body. Levi Phipps, who manages the crematory at Yost and Webb Funeral Home in Fresno, said that on the day Silver was killed, Hefferman and his stepson threatened him with a gun. Then they put Silver's body into the incinerator. Phillips claimed that before Silver was killed, Hefferman got really interested in the crematory. He even asked for the keys to the place, saying he might need to make something disappear someday. This news went nationwide.
4 missing Hells Angels were illegally cremated at a funeral home. Prosecutors say 54-year-old Fresno Hells Angel Merle Hefferman was involved in the secret cremation of a fellow member, Joel Silva of Livermore, who went missing back in 2014.
A guy in the organization, Joseph, who exposed the different insights, shared with authorities that Brian Wendt, the head of the Fresno chapter, confessed to shooting Silver. Wendt chillingly mentioned that he had used the pizza oven to dispose of 5 or 6 bodies. Additionally, Wendt gave Hardesty a phone number. He advised Hardesty to call and say he was cooking pizza if he ever wanted to use the crematorium himself. Some of the individuals believed to have been disposed of in the oven, including Robbie Huff, a former Hells Angel who vanished in 2015. It's alleged that he was involved in covering up Silver's murder by burning his pickup truck. Another person mentioned by federal prosecutors is Arthur Carasis, a fellow member from Contra Costa County. The prosecutor said folks served as the leader of the chapter and joined in a long beating of a fellow member. This member had been involved in an affair, and during the expulsion, folks assaulted them, gave them a tattoo against their will, and ordered others to hit them with a pistol. Different members got between 50 and 100 years in prison. The court case showed how much criminal activity is going on in the biker clubs that are a threat for everyone who gets involved in it. What is your opinion on this case and the activities inside the Hells Angels Club? In the following, a jury has reached a verdict in one of the most terrible murder cases in Kitsap County. 3 men have been found guilty of killing a family of 4 in 2017. Daniel Kelly Jr. and the Watson brothers, Robert and Johnny, were convicted of killing John Carriga, his wife Christale, and their 2 children, Hunter and Jonathan, and Seaback. The jury decided that all the men were guilty of 4 counts of first-degree murder, 4 counts of planned first-degree murder, attempted murder, and first-degree arson. The trial found an ending after 3 years of uncertainty. A friend of the family said this on court day.
They were the picture-perfect family, and I enjoyed visiting them when I could. They were fun, and our visits were always eventful with good company and good food.
Let's see what happened on that particular day. The investigation into the 4 murders started when emergency responders came across a tragic scene. They found a house on fire with the bodies of 60-year-old Hunter Sharp, Jonathan Higgins, and 37-year-old Christelle Carriga inside. They all had been killed in an execution-style manner, they wrote. A few days later, the body of 43-year-old John Carriga was discovered in his burned pickup truck at the tree farm. Prosecutors claimed that Kelly and the Watson brothers were driven by drugs, money, and personal disagreements. Detectives explained that Kelly and John Carriga were close friends who sold drugs together, but their relationship soared when Kelly stole money from Carriga. Investigators found that Carriga had been hiding hundreds of thousands of dollars behind his house, but this money disappeared after the murders. Around the same time, Robert Watson's bank account started to show large unexplained deposits according to court documents. The prosecutors used the cell phone data to show that the 3 men committed the murder. They explained that Robert Watson tricked John Carriga into leaving his home before the murders happened. The 3 men were arrested and put in jail in June 2022, 5 years after the murders. Kelly and Robert Watson are now members of the Bandidos Motorcycle Club, but it is believed that the club had no involvement in the murders. A person from the press talked to the media and explained that even bandidos have a certain bond and loyalty for each other, wanted them to get punished for this horrible murder as they killed a family with their children.
They have a sense of loyalty and they want to defend and obviously protect their brothers, but they won't stand. Again, this is what I was told. They won't stand for a member who kills children and women.
What do you think about this case? Comment down below. As biker clubs have a certain hierarchy, the president is the head of the operation. The most powerful position, but also the most dangerous, as everybody know him and he needs to be always cautious. In the following murder case, bikers have been sentenced to life in prison for murdering the leader of a rival gang. The killing happened after a feud between the 2 groups quickly got out of hand. During 2 different hearings, Christopher Cosimano and Michael both said they didn't take part in the aggressive murder operation of Paul Anderson. Anderson was the leader of the Outlaws Motorcycle Club in Pasco County. The government mentioned that both men were part of the rival 69's motorcycle club. They showed sympathy to Anderson's family. After that, they talked a lot and with strong feelings. They said they didn't do anything wrong, blamed people for lying, and said that the government hid and made up evidence so they could have helped them. The police department were immediately trying to calm the situation, and trying to de-escalate it, so no innocent persons get involved, as they know the rival club will respond to the loss of the president.
It's a big deal when you take out a president. And these groups don't take it lightly. But what we don't want is innocent people to get hurt.
Cosimano was the leader of the Killsborough group of the 69ers. He promised to kill 2 outlaws in revenge. So what happened on that particular day? In December 2017 in the afternoon, Anderson was in his truck at the end of the road from the Suncoast Parkway at State Road 54. There was lots of traffic because it was rush hour. Suddenly 2 men wearing masks came on motorcycles from behind him. They shot many times through the window of Anderson's truck. The prosecutor said that Cosimano and 3 other people from the 69ers group followed Anderson in cars and motorcycles before killing him. Cameras at the Suncoast Plaza recorded images of the bikers just before the shooting happened. According to other details published, there was lots of violence happening. They said someone burned down a clubhouse belonging to outlaws. Also, there was a shooting when James Costa, also known as Jimbo, got hurt. He was supposed to be the leader of the outlaws in St. Petersburg. When they were in court, Cosimano wasn't found guilty of the charges connected to the shooting of Costa. Investigators found more evidence connecting the group to Anderson's murder. Right after it happened, they kept watching a house in Riverview where the 69ers gang hang out. They heard noises from inside the house, which turned out to be the gang changing their motorcycles to make them harder to recognize. The other 3 members of the 69ers involved in the case were Alan Big Beefy Guinto, Eric Big E. Robinson, and Cody Little Savage Wessling. At the time of his arrest, Wessling worked as a firefighter in Polk County. Later, all 3 agreed to a plea deal and testified against Cosimano. The 2 people fought over who was to blame for the murder. However, the jury disagreed in that moment. They decided that both of them were guilty and gave them life in prison. What do you think? Should they get life in prison without parole? Comment it down below. Go on with another critical incident. This time, the feud between Hells Angels and rivals Vagos escalated quickly. That happened during Memorial Day weekend. The members planned a calm ride on motorcycles around Hoover Dam to remember American soldiers who died in wars. They also planned to visit a cemetery for veterans in Boulder City, Nevada. But things turned bad when members of the Vagos, a motorcycle gang known for violence, were riding together near Las Vegas. In May 2022, on a Sunday, 3 men linked to the Hells Angels followed the Vagos bikers on the road and started shooting. This left 6 Vagos members injured. A witness called 911 in that moment, and this is what she said.
Hells Angels just shot at Vagos, there's 2 down.
3 men from Hells Angels followed the Vagos bikers from the Flags Over Dam event to the Veterans Memorial Cemetery. The Vagos were honoring fallen soldiers on that Memorial Day weekend. It was not clear why the shooting happened at that moment. It's interesting that the Vagos didn't shoot back during the attack. 3 people got arrested for serious crimes. So, at the end, 3 people got arrested for this serious crime. Richard DeFries, 66, Stephen Allo, who's 46 years old, and Russell Smith, 26, are charged with trying to kill the rivals members, planning to commit murder, hurting someone with a dangerous weapon, and shooting a gun into a car. Richard DeFries is the leader of the Hells Angels group in Las Vegas. The following picture shows the outside of the Hells Angels building in Las Vegas. Recently, Cook, an expert for gang criminality, mentioned that the famous biker gangs are facing challenges from several other top motorcycle gangs like the Vagos, Mongols, and the Outlaws. He said this struggle is happening on both the east and west coasts. The motorcycle gang expert said that the Outlaws pose a significant threat to the gang. He noted that the Hells Angels are having a tough time, especially in Nevada, where they're facing pressure from various fronts. They're essentially battling most of the biker gangs across the country. Cook added that the other gangs see the Angels' vulnerability and are motivated to target them. After the shooting, the person from the Hells Angels can be seen going north. The police in Nevada got told about the shooting at around 12 AM. The injured man went to Sunrise Hospital Medical Center in Las Vegas. The police couldn't get the information they wanted from the members at the hospital. Right before the shooting, someone who didn't want to give their name called 911 while driving north on US 95. They said they saw several Hells Angels stopped on the side of the road, seeming like they were waiting for something. So the Henderson police caught the 3 men and took them into custody. They're being accused of trying to kill the rival gang members, planning to commit murder, hurting with a dangerous weapon, shooting at a vehicle. Each man faces 6 charges for these alleged crimes. Cook explained that when someone wants to join the Angels gang, they start as a prospect. These prospects usually do simple tasks for the gang, like watching over bikes outside a bar for about 6 months. After this, they might get a special patch to wear on the vest. If a prospect stays with the gang for about a year, the Angels chapter decides if they're ready to become a full member. They vote on it. If the person gets enough votes, they're given the main vest patch with Hells Angels written on it. This patch has the gang symbols in the middle and the state's name at the bottom. Sometimes they also get a patch with their city's name on it. Cook thinks that the Vagos might try to get back at the Hells Angels for the shooting in Henderson. A former Hells Angels member said this in an interview.
You know, there's an ongoing conflict. Somebody sees a member of the other club and somebody reacts or possibly overreacts, and the next thing you know, you've got a conflict right in the middle of traffic.
This gang is known for making and selling methamphetamine, dealing illegal marijuana, and being involved in many crimes like assaults, insurance fraud, money laundering, stealing vehicles, intimidating witnesses, and breaking weapon laws. A long time ago, the American Motorcyclists Association said that very few motorcyclists are part of outlaw motorcycle gangs, less than 1%. Those gangs liked this idea and started calling themselves 1%ers. Back in September 2011, a guy named Ernesto Gonzalez, who was part of the Vagos, shot Jeffrey Pettigrew. Jeffrey was the president of Hells Angels to that time, and this happened while they were fighting on a dance floor. Ernesto shot Jeffrey 4 times in the back, but the case hit a snag and a judge threw out the charges in 2020. What do you think of all the motorcycle gangs in the country? How can the government reduce criminal activities of motorcycle gangs? Did you ever encounter or witness situations of members on the street? If you know court cases that could be featured on the channel, please write them in the comments down below. Take a second to write your thoughts on today's cases. Please subscribe to our channel and check out one of these videos here. See you in our next video. Take care.